Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Jack Reynolds. I'll be helping to moderate. I'd also like to introduce Tiffani Stefanescu and Matt Warpinski, Managers of Performance Management at Xtime. Today, Tiffani and Matt will be sharing an in-depth look at Xtime's robust and lesser-known features to help your staff find new efficiencies. A few housekeeping items before we get started. All attendees have been muted, but if you do have questions throughout the session, please put them in the go-to console on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll then take 10 to 15 minutes at the end for questions. We will also send a recording of this presentation after the webinar. Tiffani and Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, everyone. Glad that people could make it today. We are excited to share with you guys some fun stuff that will hopefully create some efficiencies in your dealership, make things easier for your staff, and give your customers a really good digital experience. And I'm honored to be here with Tiffani. She is one of the most exciting people to deal with in our organization, and excited to spend some time with her. But she's going to go right off the bat, and I'll go through the agenda with us, and then we'll get Tiffani on some of the items she's going to cover. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. And on our agenda today, guys, we are going to take a look at advanced dealer portal settings, configuring your catalog efficiently, which I'll tell you guys right now, configuring your catalog efficiently can be something that is intimidating. So we've got some great tips for that. Engage automation setups and customizing inspect to drive efficiency. I'm really excited to go into some stuff in that category, including our new inspect service pricing. And then how can we make more out of Invite? How can we make it more impactful? And so needless to say, we've got some great topics, and in some of our practice runs here, we've talked about how we hope the managers have a notepad and a pen. We are going to go through a ton of good stuff. And the goal is to give you guys some stuff to go back to your performance managers with and really hone in your system. So a lot of these things you can do on your own. Some of them, I'll tell you right now, get with your PM, your performance manager to help you. But we're excited to bring some stuff to you guys that will hopefully be game changers in your everyday world. So that being said, I will kick it off to Tiffani. And Tiffani, it's all yours.
Thanks, Matt. I will try to make this as exciting as possible. I feel like I have big shoes to fill now after that statement. Like Matt said, thank you again so much for joining us. I know it can get crazy out there, so taking the time out of your day to sit in on this means a lot. We're going to try not to talk at you so much and actually get in the system and show you the how-to so you can see where we're going and what we're talking about. So like Matt said, make sure you have that paper, pencil. Let's dive on in. So the first section, advanced dealer portal settings. This is going to be in the schedule side of Xtime. You log into Xtime, you go to the dashboard, and then the workbook's really where you're living out of the schedule side. So what we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about ways to manage carryovers, also editing a capacity for any given day. That way you don't have to go back in and change it back. People are going on vacation, it's summer season. Keeping up with those capacities can be a pain, and having to worry about going back in and changing it back. Well, there's a great feature that you could do from the workbook where you don't have to stress over that. And then just a different view of the workbook. So when you log in every time, it defaults to a specific way that you view it. So what we're going to do, like I said, we're diving right into this system. We're going to go take a look at our test instance and go into that workbook. All right, switching gears over to the test instance now. Okay, so you can see we have the workbook listed out here. In the workbook, you have the day, week, month view, and then you have it broken down by time, advisor, team, and status. So let's first talk about that carryover feature, right? A lot of times we have services that take a lot longer than expected, parts are delayed, you just never know. How do we manage that? Well, right from your workbook, I'm going to use this Mary test, for example. We're just going to say that her car is not going to get out of here until Friday. So what you're going to do when you're on that workbook, I'm going to take you step by step. You'll find that appointment. You just click on the appointment card, and then you're going to see a bar that says completion. From here, you'll click on the calendar date, and we're going to put the completion time of Friday. What's awesome about this is you can then dictate what by day, how many minutes of duration you want that to take up in your capacity. So let's just say we're going to take about an hour a day, that we want to make sure it takes up that capacity. Nice thing about that, it prevents you from getting overbooked. You have a way to efficiently and effectively manage your capacity and factor in any carryover appointments. And this will also hold true for when customers schedule online as well. Same with BDC. This is going to affect all capacities when those appointments are being scheduled. So once that's done, all you would do at that point, hit that completion, and it will carry that over. All right, let's go ahead, and the next part we were talking about was that blue edit button to modify a capacity for a given day. So let's just say next month we have a tech going on vacation. He's going to Mexico the week of the 20th. So what I'm going to do is on my workbook, I click on that calendar, I go to the 20th. One key thing you want to pay attention to here is that it is in day view. And then right under that, you're going to see this little capacity tab. If you have advisor capacity turned on, I always recommend going that route, and I'll show you why. So when I went a little quick there, there's this little blue edit button. Once you hit that, it will open a new tab. And then you can select your team if you have teams. If you don't have teams, it's just going to go to your general capacity. So let's just say it's an express tech that's going to be out. The reason why I like doing it in the advisor capacity type is it gives you the entire week to manage, and it breaks it down by time slot. So let's just say, aside from vacation, maybe you have a tech that's going to be out for a doctor's appointment in the morning. You can take a little bit less that morning. You can reduce how many appointments by time slot in the morning. But let's just say here, we're going to do that 0 out. He's on vacation all week. And we hit save. There you go, and it's done. And the great thing is you don't have to worry about going back in once vacation's over and changing it back. So that's definitely one upside to doing it through the workbook. Okay, let's go ahead back to the workbook. Great thing is you just X out that tab, brings you right back to the workbook. A lot of you may be wondering, why does my workbook look like this? So default out of the box, when you log into Xtime, you're probably scrolling right to left. If you're one of those that prefers to scroll up and down, this is something we can attach to your username. So this is where you're going to want to take a note to bring to your performance manager, and they can get that set up so that anytime you log in, it will default to the vertical scrolling versus the horizontal. Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead back to the deck and take a look at some other cool stuff within the dealer portal that we're going to talk about.
And I love that, Tiffany. It's such an easy way to scroll up and down when you're looking at your workbook. And I think a lot of people that have been on Xtime a long time are used to that. So I love that feature. And it's something simple.
Right. And I mean, Matt, you've worked in a car dealership. Nothing's more, not stressful, but just it could be a lot to deal with people's schedules. And I think we forget that Xtime will do a lot of the legwork for you when it comes, even like lunch schedules for advisors. These are all things we can take care of, so you're not always having to track it. Okay, what else can we do in the dealer portal? So we're going to change things up. We were in the workbook. We're going to actually go back into the configure side. But let's first talk about what we're going to be doing back there. So, the first thing is advisor routing constraints. What are routing constraints? That might seem like a foreign language to you. Very much common are now express and main shop drives. You want a separate capacity for your express team. They can take more work throughout the day. You don't have to worry about a 2-hour diag coming in for your express team because it's just oil changes, tire rotation. So we can allow for later appointments. Whereas on the flip side, main shop's a little bit different, right? We're not going to want to have a main shop appointment come at 5 when we close at 6. So what routing constraints will do, and you can either do it by the advisor level or you can create teams, and we'll talk a little bit more about the difference, is it helps you decide what appointments go to who. After that, we're going to go take a look at skills, and then capacity, so hours versus appointments, and then transportation options. This is a big one. I mean, we are still in a world of COVID, a pandemic, and it's crazy what different transportation options can actually drive more money for your dealership. So we're going to take a look at that, a little bit of a story as well that's tied to those transportation options. But let's first go ahead and get into our configure side. And one side note, if you don't have the configure in your top left menu, so if you go to your Xtime schedule, there's going to be that scheduling drop down. If you do not see configure in that menu, that's a permission or a role change. So if you're not an admin, all you would need to do is get admin approval at your store, and your performance manager can get you hooked up with that access. So like I was saying, if I go to this scheduling, we go to configure, and we're going to be primarily staying in the resources tab. The resources tab is the home to a lot of our major settings. So once we go there, The first screen that pops up is going to be your advisors. Again, this is where you can set up the different advisor hours if they have blocked times. This is a perfect example. This advisor is blocked 1 to 2 every day. You can even add days off in their block times as well. Okay, routing constraints, that foreign language, what the heck is that? So where I'm going right now are teams. This store specifically set up teams for Express and Main Shop. There's a couple ways you can manage Express and Main Shop. You can have Express advisors, Main Shop advisors, and you manage it at the advisor level. The thing with that though is they don't have their own separate capacities. What that's basically just doing is dictating what appointment goes to which advisor. What are teams? What's the difference? So if we set up teams, now we have a team for Express, a team for Main Shop. We assign the appropriate advisors, and then they in turn have their own capacity. As you can see here, I can toggle. And you can manage by time slot where you want these appointments for the Main Shop, and maybe you want them at different places for Express. So that's the difference there. If you did not have teams on, it would just be one shop capacity to control. There would be no drop down here. With teams, you have the ability to break it out and effectively manage between Express or Main Shop. So let me go ahead into those teams. And this is something, y'all, I'm telling you, you're going to want your performance managers help on. Just because they've seen a lot of our PMs work with hundreds of stores. I mean, me personally, I've worked, I can't even keep count, it's been 10 years. I can sleep and do capacities, but there's so much you can do with it and it can get very tedious. So this example, what this store did, they based it on appointment duration. So the appointment as a whole has to be less than 60 minutes. And then service kind excludes repairs. So that would be for the Express. And then Main Shop, flip side, appointment duration greater than 60 minutes. And then so when customers are booking, BDCs booking, advisors, cashiers, anyone that books, it's going to look at these routing constraints and the system's doing the legwork again for you. It's letting you know where that appointment should go based on the team. And then it's going to take out that capacity. All right, shifting gears a little bit, same page. We're just going to go a couple tiles down to skills. We all live in a world where there's a huge supply issue in parts, right? I mean, there's some parts might have been coming in for months. My dad just had his truck in the shop. It was there for no joke, 3 months waiting for parts to get in. With that being said, you need to manage those appointments. You don't want customers to continue booking for these services that you don't have parts for. So that's where skills can come in handy. You can create what we call a skill set. And this one, for example, did an AC. So what they did is they selected any heating or AC diag service and added it to that skill. So let's just say alignment, for example. When you go into the alignment, all she would do is search for the alignment service and add any necessary alignment services to it and hit save. Okay, why does this matter? How do we manage it? Well, let's go right back to that capacity tab. As you can see, there's this section called skills capacity. And what it does is it breaks down by each type of skill set how many appointments per day total the system will allow. Matt, and I mean, when you and I were doing dry runs, you said you've run into this a lot with dealerships. Do you have any experiences you can share with today's audience?
Absolutely. And, one of the things you just hit on was the demand for parts, but it's also a demand for technicians. We have fewer and fewer technicians out there now, and there's stores that are specified. Coming from a GM store, we had some techs that would be Volt certified. We'd have some techs that were diesel, some techs that were transmission. And you can only do so much work with those few hands. So coming into this and being able to control how many appointments or how many hours that you are booking for specific services, for transmission work, for diesel work, for alignments, any of those ways to control it. And on top of that, I mean, call it what it is. You can make sure that certain things don't go to that Express team. Your Express team is going to handle certain services, and we want to make sure that that's all that they handle. So yeah, this is a game changer. Anytime that you can add layers to the onion and filter to the right team and control the volume of work. We're talking about controlling the volume of work coming in. That's a difficult thing, but with this, it makes it substantially easier.
100%, 100%. Kind of going off of that, the next bullet point I had was capacity. And, a lot of our dealers don't realize that there's 2 different ways you can really manage capacity. You can manage it by hours, but you can also manage it by number of appointments. And it really just depends on what satisfies the needs of the dealer. I have a lot of people that like to manage by hours. The key to that, though, and we're going to go into the next session about the catalog, is ensuring your durations are accurate in that catalog. So it does effectively take into play what those hours are and that it's hitting that capacity. On the flip side, you can track it by appointments. And I have a lot of my service managers say, I like appointments because I know how many bodies are coming in, or tentatively, because we always have walk-ins, right? But you just get a general idea of the number of people that are going to be in your drive that day. So a couple options there. If you're currently tracking by hours and you want to switch to appointments, that's a fix we can definitely make. That's something to bring to your performance manager. If you're not sure what you're tracking it by, again, I would bring that to your next performance review and get their insight. See what they think would work best for your dealer's needs. All right, last, this is the big one. Transportation options. Just because the automotive world, everything's changing. Well, so is the climate around transportation options. Customers do not, I don't think they ever really have wanted to, but especially now, don't want to be sitting in a waiting room with potentially other sick people, or you just don't know. People don't want to be around other people right now, given the circumstances. And not only that, y'all, I mean, the data behind these different transportation options and what it has on your approval rates is insane. So this past quarter, we've come to find that the ASR approval is twice as likely if the customer is not waiting at the dealership. If you're wondering what ASR stands for, that's any additional service recommendations being done by the technician. Once those are twice as likely to get approved if the customer is not at your store. What we found was that waiters, were increasing the time, the pressure on the advisors, the techs to get the work done. Waiters are generally less happy because service takes longer than they expected. They're spending less per RO, and they're approving fewer ASRs because, let's go back to up there, they don't want to wait any longer. They're ready to get out of there. So why not give them options? Let's take a look. So we're going to go back into that screen share under the transportation section. Same screen under resources, transportation, and this is where you're going to find all the settings. I've had so many dealerships say, we want loaners, but we only have 2 and we don't know how to manage it, or we don't want oil changes getting loaners. I get it. This is where Xtime's here to help y'all. We're trying to make it as easy and as efficient as possible. So what you can do as a manager is you can actually go into this loaner setting. You don't need the performance manager for this one. This is all at your fingertips. And you can decide, one, where do I want loaners available? Do I want it available internally? So with BDC, advisors that are scheduling, and do I want it on the website? Can I tell you though, if you have it on internally, turn it on the website. Why? Because if a customer goes onto your website, they try to schedule a loaner, it won't let them. They're going to pick up the phone. I've done it. Call the dealership and say, hey, I really need a loaner, and get a loaner. So what do you think I'm going to do the next time? I'm not going to the website anymore. I'm just going to call in. And we're in a world right now where advisors need as little time on the phone as possible. They need to be with the guests that are arriving, trying to upsell. So the key is to keep training customers to schedule online by providing the same scheduling experience across all platforms. So let's say we want to turn it on the website, we're turning it on the dealer, and then you see these little asterisks. Allow a loaner if the total service duration exceeds. So this is where you can set that minimum baseline that the appointment has to be this many, at least this much duration for it to qualify for a loaner. So in this case, it's saying an appointment has to be at least 2 hours long for that customer to be able to get a loaner. And then you have the option for a rental. One great thing as well, we can repurpose a lot of these. We hear our stores, rideshare is big. I mean, anytime I go anywhere and I don't want to drive, Uber, Lyft, that's my go-to. Well, we can repurpose, like rental, for example, we can change that to say Uber. Or same thing with shuttle. Maybe you don't offer a shuttle service. You just want to put in rideshare. That can all be renamed. In addition, y'all, we have an integration directly with Lyft where it actually ties into the Lyft app. When the appointment's being scheduled, you can put the address in for where the pickup will be and where the customer wants dropped off. And then the advisor, no joke, can track where that customer is while the service is getting completed. So that is integrated directly with Xtime. The integration itself is free. That's something to get with your performance manager. They can get you more details. We work our way down. Waiting room, same thing. You can refine the waiting room. Probably the opposite concept though as a rideshare. You don't want customers waiting if their service is at least 2 hours. You're probably going to do a lower one. So what this will do is no waiters if the total service is longer than. So if their total appointment's longer, in this case, they put 60 minutes, it won't let them wait, but that can all be changed at your fingertips. And then lastly, valet. You can update the valet here. You can put in a valet email. It's broken down by team, right? So you can decide which team. I have a lot of Hyundai Genesis stores where Hyundais don't get a valet, but Genesis does. So they break out those teams so it displays properly the correct customers are qualifying for the valet. And also, guys, we do have integration with Clutch and service pickup and delivery. It's a really, really cool platform. It's gotten really in depth. It's been a huge hit, I would have to say, since the start of the year. Matt, I don't know if you have any stores on it, but the ones that I have on it, they love it.
Yeah, I do. And guys, you know, we talk about integrations with Lyft and Spud, Clutch, pickup and delivery. I mean, these are all things that when we can put that in one platform, in one place for your advisors to utilize it, we are again creating efficiencies. Lyft in your schedule. Your advisors can send out a flex ride to that customer so they can schedule their own pickup. I mean, we make it as simple as possible for you guys to give alternate transportation to your clients. And to Tiffany's point, you make more money when you offer alternate transportation.
Yep, 100%. Okay, one more section. I'm trying to keep this as exciting as possible, and then I'm going to hand it off to my friend Matt. Let's go ahead and take a look at configuring your catalog efficiently. A lot of stores, they go into that catalog tab, the same drop down that you go to get to configure. They get in there, they're like, nope, this is way too much, way too complicated. But I'm here to tell you it's not. And there's actually a lot of cool things you can do to efficiently and effectively change services in little time. So let me go ahead and let's just take a look at some of the things we're going to talk about. We've got the bulk edit feature. So with the bulk edit feature, oh, I don't know what happened there. We are going to take a look at how to edit a bulk amount of services and make the same change to it. In addition to that, we're going to talk about available hours. So with the available hours, you can determine which services are available at what days and what times. And then pricing for one service with several different pricing options. In the past, if you had a cabin filter that, let's just say, was a different price for 8 different vehicles, you had to create 8 different cabin filter services. Not anymore. And then lastly, we're going to take a look at the new catalog training. It is awesome. I cannot wait to show you all this. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the catalog now, and then we will go back to Matt. All right. So let's see here. In the catalog, like I said, it's going to be from that same drop down where you went to configure, you're going to go into the catalogs button. Once you're in there, you're going to want to go to the operations drop down. So you go to operations and then operations again. This is going to be the home to all of your services. So the first thing I talked about was the bulk edit. Let's just say we want to change all our diags to be 90 minutes. So I type in the internal name here, diagnosis, and what you can do in the top left, there's this select all square where it can select all of them. Let's just say you want to do 1 or 2, you could do that as well. But for the sake of the example, I'm going to do all 40. And then you can toggle any of these to change. So I'm going to do scheduling duration, 90 minutes. And then you would do apply one edit. Same thing you can do with that availability. So let's just say the diags, we don't want them scheduled after noon. So I went to that bulk edit again. We do the available hours, edit, add hours, and let's just name it diag. Monday, Tuesday, or we'll do Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 7 until noon. And you can do this at the individual service level as well, y'all. This is just one way to do it if you have multiple that you wanted to add. And then we hit save, apply one edit. Awesome. Another thing we talk about, let's just say those cabin filters, those wonderful parts that vary so greatly between our different vehicles. What you could do is, let's just use this Nissan cabin air filter. When you go to this pricing setup, you can set a default price. So let's just say the default price is $65, but then you can also add an override. And this store has a lot of override sets or vehicle groups created. You can create your own as well, but let's just use this one for the example. We'll just do Pathfinder. And what I'm going to do is the Pathfinder is actually going to be $75. So what will happen is if a Pathfinder that's a 2008 and newer tries to schedule a cabin filter, it's going to automatically go to that 75. Any other vehicle at this point would be the $65. And you can create an endless amount of overrides in this section as well. Cool. Let's see. Outside of that, one other thing, oh, the new inspect catalog training. That's one of the best parts. So anytime that you are in Xtime schedule, you're going to go into, let me go ahead into this other screen because it looked like it opened a new tab on me. My computer decided to have a mind of its own. You're going to go to the help button. You'll see in the top right, it's got a little question mark and you'll see help, and there will be a tab that says training. It's not wanting to go to my other screen. There it is. Okay. So help, training. One section I always recommend to new, even users who've been using Xtime, get the certifications. One, it's free. Two, it's at your own time. And three, I think it's a great thing you can always add to your resume. It's a career builder. It's just, you know, and there's a lot of things in there you probably or may not have even known because there's so much that's hidden in plain sight with what this product can do. But the catalog manager, this is the one I'm talking about. This is the new one here. You can click on that and then go ahead and schedule or, you know, slot out time to get that training done. All right, y'all, that's all I had on the catalog. I am going to hand you off to Matt, and he's going to show you some really cool things in inspect and invite, and then we will go from there. So let me pass this over to Matt. I screwed my
well, and Tiffany, if you want to pull up the engage, we can do the transfer after the engage section here. So if you want to go back to the PowerPoint, that'd be great. And then, yeah, guys, I'm really excited because I get to talk to you guys about engage and inspect. And when it comes to our engage platform, there are some automations that we can set up for you that will help create efficiencies. And anytime that we can create efficiencies, we can squeeze more out of the lemon. So Tiffany, if you don't mind, can you grab the PowerPoint? There we go. Perfect. So guys, I want to paint a picture to you real quick. If you are a service manager, fixed ops, anyone that's in service, we have a designed and desired walk around process for our advisors when we get to that customer's vehicle. The reality is simple. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But when we have a tablet and a program that can help with the process, and when I say help with that process, we're talking about greeting the customer where they're comfortable, right? They are comfortable at their vehicle. They come and see you maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So when they get out of that car, they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, but they're there for the car, right? So let's make the car the focal point. We take pictures of the car to protect ourselves from damage, right? I mean, that's something that I hated getting those phone calls. They were awful to get. And how do you prove it, right? So we need those pictures. We want to make sure that we present a digital VIN-based menu package to your customers every single time they come in. And we know that the advisor presents menus every single time. I mean, guys, let's be realistic. Sometimes we can't get them to do anything besides take the primary line, but this process helps. And so we're doing the walk around, we're getting the recalls, we're getting the signature, we're opting our customers in for future email marketing, which they can do from the tablet. And once that's all said and done and we get everything we need, we drag them back to the desk and we print out the RO. Why? Why are we doing that to our clients, right? We've got everything we need. Yes, the customer, wants to get away from the car. They're not comfortable. The advisor wants to drag them back. Let's get that repair order printed at the vehicle and create some efficiencies. Get that customer to the waiting area, right? Get your advisor back to the desk. There may be some things that they have to do, but if you're CDK and dealer track, you have the ability to turn on auto printing and creation of your repair orders. And the screen that Tiffany's got up here shows you the top is our CDK screen. So you can see on the left, you've got your advisors. We can select, who is going to be auto printed, the printer and the copies. And the nice thing about dealer track, as you can see, is we have a few more options. We've got our customer copy, we've got our tech copy, and our parts copy. So we can we can print a repair order to parts. So parts can pull those parts, build those out before the technician they ever get to the counter. Before they ever get the RO, there can be parts built out and sitting there waiting for your technician. So guys, when we talk about efficiency, this is a way to be efficient. Give your customer a good digital experience right at their car. So if you don't have CDK and dealer track, we still have some automated functions that will create efficiencies. I can tell you this again, being in retail and experiencing customers trying to call it what it is, they try and pull stuff over on you. I never authorized that. I hated that conversation. I wasn't standing next to the advisor listening. I have a handwritten signature with a dollar amount. Well, that customer can very easily say, well, I never authorized that. That's somebody. I mean, we've all had those conversations. What I love about the Engage automation is that we can have the customer authorize a specific dollar amount, automatically email that customer the estimate. They can't call you up and say, I never authorized it. Their signature's right next to the dollar amount, right? So we're eliminating that conversation from happening. We're transparent. We're showing them what we anticipate them authorizing for diagnosis or any other service. The other thing that we can automatically email to our customers is their inspection, right? The pictures. We did not make the dent in your car. I'm sorry, right? And we've all had that conversation. It's a tough conversation. Now, I was the type of person where if we did make the dent, I was going to take care of the customer because it's the right thing to do. But they will, I mean, if, oh, there's a dent, I didn't do it. Do we really know that? So let's email them the inspection. Let's email them the estimate. So there is transparency, and they know that they can't necessarily turn around and come at you for that. So I love that. We print out the estimate. The estimate page is typically warranty compliant in so many different ways. So the estimate page is going to get printed, and you can also automatically email that estimate, or excuse me, you can also, this is the other thing that I love, there's a menu that can be printed as well, right? So we can automatically print the menu so that every single time, right, we're talking about a walk around, well, now we can at least give that customer a menu. Whether the advisor actually did the menu presentation or not, we can still give them something tangible that they can take with them and take a look at when they have a minute. So all of those automated features, again, we're creating efficiencies. And now, guys, we're going to jump into the next thing. So if we're going to take a look at the next slide for inspect pricing, I kind of want to go over what inspect pricing does, and then I'm going to give you guys a live demo. And inspect pricing is new. And guys, what I want to make sure that everyone understands is this is the dealer's link to the services in inspect. Historically, a dealer has never had access to go into inspect and update a set price. So what we have now is our foundation, the groundwork for Xtime's service price guide and our quoting tool of the future, which is, I've seen some demos, it's amazing. This is the groundwork for that. And what it boils down to is you as a manager with inspect pricing will be able to add, adjust, modify services in the service catalog and schedule, and that will show up in inspect. So you will have complete control over your catalog, right? No more reaching out to support, no more reaching out to your performance manager, you can do it. Now, that being said, we've got some great efficiencies that we can have here with this, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what that's going to do. So bear with me just a moment here, and you can see my screen, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we've got a regular repair order here. You can see it's in inspection mode. So once we go down here, we are seeing our primary lines. We've got some primary lines and our multi-point. And let's say on this inspection, we have determined that we've got a leaking radiator. So we are going to add a service. And what you can see, this box looks a little bit different, right? It's a little bit unique and it's a different look. So currently, guys, this is in pilot with DealerTrack. CDK will be in pilot later this year. But currently with our DealerTrack stores, I've got a pilot store on this right now, and it is absolutely awesome. Excuse me. So what we're going to see is a radiator replaced. This is going to pull in time from motors, and it's going to pull in some parts pricing from your DMS. So I'm going to go ahead and select my radiator. And what you're seeing here is on the bottom, it's initially going to pull up my labor, right? I have to tell the system which vehicle this is going to apply to. We're pulling motor time, guys. Now, if I'm the tech selecting this, whether it's got a transcooler or not, I probably am going to pick that one because it shows 3.6 hours. But they know that car's right in front of them. They can say, does this have a transcooler? Does it not have a transcooler? They can select the right labor time. From there, you're seeing all the different parts. These are parts that are associated with the radiator replacement. You've got your coolant, your radiator, and then the hose clamps, because those are not reusable hose clamps, right? Now, the other thing that it's going to show is some optional parts, right? Maybe the lower radiator hose is just damaged, it's overheated, and we've got to replace it. So now, or maybe I've got a younger tech and I don't know which one of these I should have. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to select everything, and I'm going to go ahead and add that service. And now that that has been added, for our parts guys out there, you can see we've got it right here. For parts, all I have to do, if I go into my parts details screen, this to me is a huge time saver, because we spend so much time looking at parts, making sure that we have the right pricing. Here's my radiator. if I'm in parts, I've got all my part numbers here. I've got to verify that these are the right numbers. Once I can verify these are the right numbers, I can go ahead and just save this and send this over to my advisor. So guys, we're talking about efficiencies for parts, which is something that, call it what it is. It's never been a huge focus, but now this is a big focus for our parts guys, our technicians, and our advisors. Again, reducing button clicks creates efficiency, so we can squeeze a little bit more out of that lemon. So in spec pricing, again, this is one of the coolest things that I've seen in a long time. Now, that being said, that does not mean that we can't necessarily give you guys that don't have the ability for in-spec pricing some efficiency. So Tiffani, I'm going to send this back so you can pull up our bulk update slide here for me. And so guys, if you don't have inspect service pricing, if you're not a dealer track or CDK store, you still can do a ton to update your services and inspect. Now, this is going to be something that you're going to want to work with your performance manager on, okay? What we can do, we can download a spreadsheet from Inspect. We can train you, work with you, show you how this works. And even though you don't have access to that spreadsheet, you have your list. You can edit it. You can get it to your performance manager. They can update that, and they can do this in a very efficient, effective manner. So you have the access to your catalog, not necessarily in the system, but it's in a different way. And we're going to go through what this looks like in just a second. But what it boils down to is you can see, we can update different ways to price out services. So when we have, when we've got a service that has a fixed price, and Tiffani, you can see my screen here, correct?
Yep.
So we've got multiple different ways to price, and I'm going to show you, this is a quick version of that spreadsheet. So this is really showing you guys what that spreadsheet's going to look like, okay? I've downloaded this, and this is what I would work with an individual store. So let's say we've got an alignment in here, and what I want to call out, I don't know if you guys see this little asterisk right here. This is one of the best top secrets that we have. When your technicians are selecting from the dropdown, any of the services that have an asterisk in the front of their name will automatically bring those services to the top of the list. So you can create your own quick pick list, right? Instead of having technicians, I can't find what I'm looking for, it's right there at the top. You can see how to base this list based off of your ASR line count. So what's really cool is this is showing you in the last 12 months how many times these services have been selected. So again, I know that I'm going to probably put an asterisk on a lot of these just to pull those up. But when it comes to pricing, right, there's different ways to price. And what you can see is for our spark plugs with this store, we have 0 in hours, we have 0 in price, and 0 in labor. That is going to be a service that the technician is going to put his hours in, the parts department is going to put in the parts pricing, and then when it gets to the advisor, it will have a total. Now, when we are looking at, say, setting fixed labor sale amounts and fixed labor hours, but we have to send it to parts because we don't know what the pads and the rotors are going to be, right? So, for example, my brake job rear, I've got 1.5 hours that I'm paying my tech, and my effective labor rate is 135. So anytime this specific service is selected, what's going to happen is the system is going to take 1.5, multiply that by the 135, and you're going to have a fixed sale amount in that labor field. But because we don't have anything in our price field, that will then go to parts. Parts will create the parts estimate. By the time your advisor gets it, the technician nor the advisor had to touch the hours. Parts put the parts on there. You know exactly what your total price is. Now, the third way to do it is to have something in your price column. And what I want to call out in the price column is that if you have a set price, an everyday price like your cabin air filter, right? It's $79.95 no matter what the vehicle is. I can put that time in here. It's going to create a fixed service. The fixed service will bypass our parts team, and it will create that estimate faster. Now, we don't need to check availability. We know we have these in. Brake fluid flushes, right? I've got a big drum of brake fluid in the back. I don't need to ask parts, do I have enough brake fluid to do a brake flush, right? So anything that is a fixed service that we know can bypass them, this is creating efficiencies. Now, the other thing that's really nice is in the opcode field. If you're dealer track and CDK, when you get a thumbs up, and we're talking about efficiencies, when you get a thumbs up, that's going to automatically add that line in CDK if you have Fortellis and dealer track, so that your advisors don't have to go back into the DMS and actually add the line. It's going to push everything back based on the opcode here. So the other thing I do like, and what we can see in the previous slide Tiffani had there was, if you have an opcode associated, that opcode will be to the right-hand side of the name of the service. So as a technician or an advisor, I know, hey, this service has an opcode attached to it. is probably the right one with the pricing. So it makes it easy for your advisors and technicians to pick those services. So guys, when it comes to customizing Inspect, whether you have Inspect pricing or not, Inspect pricing is great. I love it. Get it if you don't have it. But what I will say is this is another option for you that we use all the time. And I've had some of my most successful groups utilize this to create those efficiencies. So this is something, please work with your performance manager on this. I can tell you it's going to be a help. All right, let me get this back over to Tiffany here. Bear with me. And we'll go into our next section, which is, again, an automation. It's kind of my theme here, guys. I really like to remove the button pushing from our advisors because, number one, do they do it every time? And that's one of the things that I really like about this is when we have the auto green turned on, we know that our clients are going to get a copy of their multi-point every single time. It's consistency, right? They get it. They get that CSI survey. Did you get a multi-point? Yeah, I got it. We know because we sent it to them automatically. Remove the advisor from the equation, and you can make this happen. What I also like is it timestamps the auto green send. You can see right in this picture where we've got our Q column, and I've got those G's circled in that box. When you're looking at your dashboard, you know that quote is going out. It's not actually a quote. Excuse me. It's the multi-point getting to the customer so that they can see that they have. We call it selling the green, right? They've got a good inspection report. And what this does require, though, is a good process. We want to make sure that, if your technician is pencil whipping it and moving it through the dashboard, well, we're going to get into a situation where that customer may be getting that inspection a little bit early. So make sure that you have a good process in place on this. But again, if we can automate something, we need to automate it. Guys, we are, call it what it is. We're in a digital world, and I am a digital girl. Thank you, Madonna. So go ahead and just get that sent out automatically. It just makes sense. And that's sorry, guys, I get excited about this. This is making your life easier. It's creating efficiencies for you. So please, your performance manager can help with this. And I will stop talking and let Tiffany jump back in because we want to get through all the material we've got today.
Thanks, Matt. And just one thing to point out, I know efficiency is Matt's thing, but I'm a huge fan of CSI and customer experience as well. And I think that green inspection form just starts to build the trust, especially for customers that might have just bought a vehicle. They come in for their first service. They're proud of their 2021 car. You're letting them know they're doing a good job. I just think it just really sets a tone for the relationship. Okay, I'm going to zoom past this next one. So as far as automated reporting, one thing we can do to inspect and set up very easily, literally if you email or call your performance manager, right now they can get these set up to yourself and as many other people you want to receive these. It's the Tech ROASR, the Advisor Scoreboard, Microsite, any of the key hitting reports and inspect we can have automated either daily, monthly, or weekly. So something to keep in mind if you're taking notes of things to talk about with your PM, this should be one of them. All right. Last thing, and then we'll do an invite real quick. So within Inspect, there's two things with the employees or users that you can do. You can create groups and you can create teams. Why would we want to do that? So for groups, the nice thing with this, I was actually just in a store about a month ago that had 4 techs sharing the same computer. The beauty about having those 4 techs in one group within Inspect is they could toggle between each username without having to log off and back in every time they're trying to access the computer. So if your shop is similar to that, where you don't have a PC or an iPad for every tech, they're sharing PCs, let your PM know they can create a group for those technicians, making it easy to toggle in and out of their ROs. Same thing goes with like at parts. If the parts users are all attached to the parts group, when you do the at parts, everyone in that group is going to receive a notification for the internal chat. And then lastly, teams. I'm a huge fan of accountability. I love this teams feature because it really gives you a granular idea of how your staff is doing in Inspect. And one thing that we've recently seen, if you're a fixed ops manager, service manager, if you're a manager, lane manager, and you're trying to keep your team accountable and you have an iPad or a tablet, I'm telling you right now, go to xtime.com, log into Inspect, and I want you to go work with each tech one-on-one and show them their scoreboard. You can break down that scoreboard by user. It is absolutely amazing. Let me just show you it real quick because it is something that's really cool. It adds value, and you can't, you have a fight in the discussion. A lot of techs will say, I'm doing every RO. Well, no, you're not. This is your scoreboard right here. We see you at 0%. Where are we missing the ball? So let me see if my screen share is a little bit delayed. There we go. So on your scoreboard, again, you can have your tablet. You can access the scoreboard. If you go to this filter portion here and you go by technician, you can then look at each tech and see how they're doing. Teams, this was where those quick lane main shop teams, we can set those up and inspect as well. That way they each have their own different scoreboard. It makes it easier to see which team's performing or underperforming and effectively manage that. All right, I tried to make that as quick as possible. I'll hand it back to you, Matt. We'll wrap things up with invite and then we'll take in some questions. Go ahead, let me go ahead and share that presentation. And then while Matt does that, guys, I don't think we brought it up. We keep bringing up performance manager and PM. If you're in a situation where you're not sure who your performance manager is, please don't hesitate. We'll have our contact information at the end of the deck to contact either Matt or I, and we will help you find your performance manager and who that is.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about the next part here because I love getting in front of our customers and making sure that your message hits home and gets those people in your lane. And I will buzz through this so we can make sure that we have a little bit of time for questions. We talked about it when we were talking about Engage. Your advisors, when they are doing a check-in, can opt in your customers for marketing. However, it's something that we don't see we don't hold our advisors accountable for it. However, it's something that makes an impact. So please keep in mind, talk to your advisors, opt those customers in when they're doing the check-in with the tablet. Now, we've got a real life example on the screen here of a store that has been with us for a long time. It's a Spectrum store. And what you see is a total audience of 34,000 people for their email marketing. And 49.56% of them, 17,000 people, are opted out. So right off the get-go, we're losing half of our audience because of an opt-out, which that may have been the advisor making the appointment and opting them out because it was easier than getting an email address, right? Or there's reasons that happens. But one thing that we can do, a support ticket can do a re-opt-in for all of your customers for email marketing. Again, people want to get communicated to. We're not afraid of emails like we were 10 years ago. So please, if you look at your marketing numbers, and your performance manager will be able to show you this. If you look at it and you see you have a ton that are privacy excluded, let's get them opted back in. Okay, it's one phone call to support asking for an opt-in. The other thing that I want to call out, looking at this store, 39% of their emails were undeliverable, meaning that it was a bad email address. And that, again, is something that we can help you guys get a spreadsheet, locate some of those bad email addresses and correct those, because you've got this store has a great open rate, 46%, but we sent 5,100 emails out from 34,000. I mean, that's not really reaching and maximizing what we can do. So there are things that we can do in Invite to try and assist you guys getting your customers in and putting your information in front of them. We have to be in front of our clients right now and our customers, because if we're not, somebody else is. So that's what I've got for Invite, and I think that does leave us for a little bit of time for questions.
So before we get into questions, I want to remind everybody, in case you joined late, you can enter your questions in the GoToWebinar console window on the right-hand side of your screen. We've had a lot come in already. We might not be able to get to them all live, but if you do have them, please submit them and we'll reach out after the webinar. First one here comes from John. So in the team section, when setting up the duration constraint, does the time refer to individual opcodes or total times for all opcodes selected in the appointment?
That's a really good question. There's actually two constraints, so you can decide which one you prefer. There's a service duration constraint, which is going to be the individual service duration, and then appointment duration constraint, which will be the appointment duration as a whole. So you can choose which one you want to go with.
Yeah, and you can utilize both of those when you're building the teams, and I've seen it done. Again, there's so many ways to build teams. Please, please invite your performance manager to help you with that, because we've done it enough times that we've stubbed our toe, so we don't want you to do that. Especially
Toyota Care stores, those are big ones. Get with your service or your performance manager, they'll help you out with those.
All right, thanks. This one comes from Michael, and he is wondering, when is parts integration going live for CDK users?
Parts integration, Michael, that might be something that we want to take a look at offline with your performance manager. And the only reason I say that is Right now, we get what your pricing is in CDK is what we should be getting in Inspect. So if we're not seeing that, then that could be a setup in CDK. It could be a setup in the communication, but that would be something we'd want to look into, because right now you should be able, I mean, if you've got a certain price in CDK, that should pull over. CDK and DealerTrack, we get parts pricing from the DMS. Now that could be a source issue in the DMS. There could be a couple different things causing that, but we have some workflows that we can help you with if you're not seeing that. But that should be there for you right now.
Thanks, Matt. This one comes in from Luke. Can we direct a porter to use the tablet to take pictures and attach to the appointment?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It just
absolutely.
depends. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, we have multiple. Yeah, I've got a great high performing store, a big Lexus store in Indianapolis, that they have their porters go out and start that process, do the check-in, take the pictures, and then they hand that tablet off to the advisor, and the advisor takes it from there. You can even have the porters have their own tablet and the advisors have their own. They can start, pause that walk around, and the advisor can pick it up from their tablet.
Yep.
Fantastic. This next question, can the service pricing guide be overridden on pricing or hours by advisor or text?
No, it should not be. That is a specific permission. If you're asking about user access, no.
Yeah, in Inspect, that's one of those things that there's certain ways that you can allow for that based on the role and the individual, but it's more of a user setting. And there are ways to do that. You know, there's ways to set up permissions for different employees to be allowed to do certain things. Again, you know, guys, we want to help you and give you some ideas here and insight. And a lot of this does go back to working with your performance manager on those specific asks.
All right, next one here. How can I get pricing to show on the consumer's view in scheduling?
Great question. That is going to be in your catalog setup. So if you're, whoever asked this question, if you have pen and paper, if you go to the catalogs menu, and then it's going to be the settings tab, I believe it is, right, Matt? I'm trying to visualize it right now.
Settings.
Yep.
Yep.
And then you'll be able to decide which app that it's visible in. Again, another thing your performance manager could certainly help you with. And please, if you don't know who that person is, please let us get you in front of them. That's what they're there for. They thrive on these type of tasks and helping dealerships with these type of situations.
All right.
You win when you win.
Oh, sorry, Matt. Next question here. Can you add a range or limit on Uber or Lyft in Scheduler?
You can add a limit. If you have the Lyft integration, yes. We don't have an integration with Uber just yet, but if you end up going with the Lyft integration, yes, you can set limits.
All right, we have another question here. How can I get more info on services like Lyft that are integrated?
Performance manager. I feel like we should get paid every time we say that, Matt, because we would be millionaires.
It'd be a great drinking game, right? It'd be a really good drinking. And I'm from Wisconsin, so I like my beer. I'd say that a few times. But guys, seriously, your performance manager is there to help you. That's the bottom line. They're there to help you with any of these things. And what I like to think, being a previous performance manager, I wouldn't ask my clients to get a product that doesn't fit for them. Our job is to look out for your best interest and what works for you. So if there's a product out there that you have interest in, consult with your performance manager. They can look at your system. They can have a conversation with you about your business to understand, is that the right product? Is now the right time? Or maybe there's a different product that might meet a need. So when it comes to additional products, I would just have a quick conversation with your performance manager, because they can help facilitate getting that product, and they can also have, again, that business conversation. Is this the right product for you?
Yep.
All right. We'll probably make this one the last one, so you guys have a little bit of time to do a sign off. But can you make email capture required on Engage?
Yes, you can. Performance manager can help you do that. But yeah, so it is a setting on the back end.
Yeah, if you go to all of your Engage settings, if you go to configure and then in application, there's a section up top called application. You'll see on the left Engage. there is a section in the Engage setups that you as a manager that has admin access can go in and decide what you require for your advisors to put in the tablet so that they get name, phone number, email address, etc. And that's also where that automated printing and emailing lives. So all of that, all those controls, even the stuff we looked at today, lives in that Engage section in application.
Yep.
All right, well, we're coming up on our last few minutes of our time today, so we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you both for an informative session. I certainly hope everybody else found today helpful. As always, we appreciate your attendance and encourage you to reach out to our team with any additional questions you may have, or as we've spoken about today, your performance manager. Tiffani and Matt, any closing thoughts?
No, we just appreciate your time. And again, if you need help figuring out who your performance manager is, please reach out to Matt or I. We will be happy to help you.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for the opportunity to present some of this information that so many of our stores may not even know exists, right? You may not even know. And this is just scratching the surface. That's the reality. We went through a list of things and we narrowed them down. When we talk about efficiencies and dialing your system in, there is so much that we can do to help you. And we've seen some great success stories, especially in the last couple of years with what's going on in COVID. Fixed is priority right now. So we want to make that a priority for you. So again, thank you very much for your time. And I don't have anything else. Tiffani, we ready that performance manager ready for the game.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And we hope to see you on our next webinar coming up this summer.